You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR 680. And tonight, man, the Giants can't stop the skid in Arizona as they fall 8-5 to the Diamondbacks. With the loss, the season-high losing streak is now up to 6 games. Kyle Harrison was shaky tonight, but battled through it early on to keep the Giants close, give that bullpen some much-needed rest, all for Luke Jackson to come up and just surrender the game in one inning. 4 runs in one inning, putting the game out of reach. He's got to be on Giants fans' short list for public enemy number 1 right now. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're tuning into the show, we appreciate you. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. And today's show is sponsored by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. And Kyle Harrison, as I said, he was battling early on. It seemed like he had base runners all over the place for this entire game, and he did give up those 4 runs. Not all of them were earned runs. 3 of them earned. There was that one error in the infield earlier on, and that Casey Schmidt ball that he just booted, and there was that one that glanced off of Matt Chapman's glove as well, and I think that one could have been ruled an error, though it was ruled a hit in this one. Harrison really did all right on the hill, even though he did pick up the loss in this one. He went six innings pitched, 8 hits, 4 runs, only 3 earned, 5 strikeouts. And as I said, that error on Matt Chapman at third that was not ruled an error, I think that could have definitely been ruled 1 and would have been 2 earned for Kyle Harrison. Luke Jackson, we talked about it at the top of the show, didn't even finish that 7th inning. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, and only 1 strikeout. His ERA on the season up to 6.35. And Luke Jackson, man, I know the Giants bullpen is thin right now, but he's got to be the last guy I want to see out of the pen on the hill for the Giants in what was still a relatively close game. I mean, I know they're struggling. They don't really have a whole lot of arms down there right now to throw. I mean, with the way the Yankees series went, with the way that yesterday went, the bullpen game, they needed 5 guys to get through it. I mean, this is the bullpen is on life support right now. These guys are absolutely gassed. They've thrown the 2nd most innings of any bullpen in Major League Baseball. These guys are wearing out. So we're gonna have to see the bottom of the pin, the bottom of the barrel, and right now that is for sure Luke Jackson. I mean, he's got to be, the last guy out of the pen right now. And today he showed you why. He's been hurt off and on all season long. He just hasn't had it. I mean, the guy who was expected to be Camilo Doval's setup man, I think, when the Giants brought him over, I think that was really what the Giants had envisioned him to be. He's really been disappointing this year. And it kind of sunk the Giants today. Those 4 runs, if he doesn't surrender those, the Giants are right back in this thing, especially with the way that this one with the way Mike Yastrzemski got the Giants back into this one late with that 3-run bomb. Let's get into it. Let's run through some highlights from this one. The top of the 2nd inning, Giants get some base runners on. First 2 runners of the inning on, 1st and 2nd, nobody out, and we got Jorge Soler at the plate. Weak pop out in the infield, in just barely in foul territory. Giants then are able to load the bases with 1 out, but Casey Schmidt strikes out. Doesn't get a run across the board, and the Giants can't muster any more offense that inning. They load the bases with 1 out. You got 2 on with nobody out, and you score no runs in the inning. That's Giants baseball this year, man. This offense has been really struggling the entire season, and with Lamont Wade Jr. out, I mean the rookies are coming back to earth a little bit. It's tough for guys to string hits together on this team. I mean, everybody is underperforming right now. I mean, Pat Bailey, he got a base hit in this one, but he's looked like he's struggled at the plate a lot in these last couple of games. Hit into 2 double plays yesterday. The Giants, Bailey hit into another one today as well. Just 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 runners on base in this one. 3 of them there in that second inning. Then in the third, bottom 3, the Diamondbacks string together a bunch of hits and scored 3 runs in the inning, 4 consecutive hits and a sac fly, scratches across 3 runs for the Snakes out there at Chase Field. And Harrison, as we said, he was battling all night long, got a double play to end the inning and get out of it without any more damage. In the top of the 4th, Chapman leads off with a double. Conforto moves him over with a productive ground ball out, and then Jorge Soler drives him in with another ground ball to short. And that's not what you want to see Jorge Soler doing. I mean, you do want to see him driving in runs, but you want to see him. I mean, you want to see some guys that the Giants have paid all this money to start getting some hits, man. We say this every damn show, but when is it going to come? I mean, I thought Soler had done a lot of improvement to his swing. He's changed a lot of it, same way that Matt Chapman did. He's leveled out the swing. The bat path looks a lot better. He's keeping his hands inside the ball a little more, shortening up that swing, but it doesn't seem to be paying too many dividends for him yet. He does get the RBI in this one, but a weak dribbler to short, I think, is not what we're wanting to see from Jorge Soler with a runner on third in less than 2 outs. I mean, I think we want to see him lift one to the outfield, maybe put one over the fence. Like, that's what this guy was signed here to do, and he still has just been lost in the woods all year long. I mean, it's June now, June 4th, and we're still talking about the same old thing that we were talking about at the beginning of the season. Then again, in the bottom of the 4th, the Diamondbacks get runners at the corners with nobody out after that. Casey Schmidt error at short, grounder to Chapman. He gets the runner at home. That was a great play to hold the Diamondbacks from scoring any more runs right in that inning. They did end up getting one later on in the inning. Line drive base hit, scored one of those runners from second base. And Harrison, the runner advanced to second when Matt Chapman made the out at home, got that runner trying to score from third. Harrison did get a big strikeout in that inning to get the Giants one step closer to 3 outs before he was able to weasel his way out of that with that only 1 run scoring. 5th inning, Walston finally came out for the Diamondbacks. Walston got the start today for the Snakes, and he I don't think the Giants had faced him. I don't think anyone on the Giants had faced him before today. I mean, the young starter from Arizona, he had the upper hand. I mean, anytime that you have a guy out there who your entire team has not faced before, that's pretty solid. I mean, it's a pretty solid advantage for the pitcher. I mean, I feel like you get at least one time through the lineup without really getting touched up too bad. And that's kind of what we saw from him tonight. Walston was keeping all the Giants hitters off balance, and it's a team that has been kind of off balance no matter who's been on the hill for whoever the Giants have played. And so, I mean, any advantage that goes to the pitcher right now just feels almost insurmountable for this offense to overcome. That's what it seemed like again tonight for the Giants. Walston came out of this game in the top of the 5th with 2 runners out, with 2 outs and a runner at first and second. Pat Bailey flipped one out into shallow left field. Casey Schmidt scored from second on the play. Giants cut the D-backs lead to 4-2, and it seemed like they might have something cooking here, but no. The Diamondbacks in the 7th inning put up a big crooked number, put up a 4 spot, and it just seemed like everybody just kept on hitting in that 7th inning. Gabriel Moreno hit a single to left field, and Blaze Alexander scored. Ketel Marte went to second, and that was just the first run of that inning. And it just got worse and worse and worse from there. The Giants got a couple back in the top of the 8th. Although by that point, I mean, they were down by so much, it just felt insurmountable. The way this offense has been playing, it just didn't feel like they were going to come back when the score was 8-2. I mean, it seemed insurmountable. Mike Yastrzemski came up and hit a 3-run blast to shrink that Diamondbacks lead to 8-5. But as we said, completely insurmountable lead for a team that's struggling the way they are to claw back from. And you know, one of the main issues with this offense, I mean, we got to talk about all the injuries. I mean, we've said it over and over again, how just battered this team is. And it's not it's not like all these guys that are hurt are just random throw-in players. I mean, yeah, you have your Austin Slaters, your rotation guys, your Tom Murphys, your backups that are hurt. But when you have Blake Snell, one of your main free agent acquisitions, Lamont Wade Jr., who was probably you're going to be your one all-star from the Giants this year if he kept playing it the way he was going. He's out too. Jung-Hoo Lee, who was on fire. I mean, he was just playing lights out center field. He was making great contact at the plate, hitting balls hard all over the yard, though the batting average didn't reflect it yet. You have all these guys that were expected to be major contributors all out. I mean, you got Nick Ahmed. He's been out too, and he had more soreness in his wrist after his rehab game on Saturday in Sacramento. So his baseball activities will be limited over the next 2 to 3 days. So from that Saturday. So, I mean, he's just now starting to get back into the swing of things. Jung-Hoo Lee actually was scheduled to undergo surgery today. So with down in Los Angeles. So hopefully that went smoothly. I haven't really seen too many updates on that yet. We'll check out for those a little bit later on. And then you got Marco Luciano sitting down there too. I mean, you have so many key contributors to this team, all dwindling on that injured list. Keaton Wynn making rehab starts down in Sacramento. That's a positive thing for the Giants. Hopefully he can come back sooner rather than later. But man, the Giants have had so many injuries this year. Like, just running through the names that have hit the injured list: Jorge Soler, Blake Snell, Luke Jackson, Sean Jelly, Michael Conforto, Pat Bailey, Keaton Wynn, Lamont Wade Jr., Blake Snell, Austin Slater, Marco Luciano, Jung-Hoo Lee, Nick Ahmed. We are well past a whole starting lineup of guys that have been injured this year, key players for the Giants that have spent extended amounts of time on the injured list. It's tough, man. Eventually it comes back and bites you. And we saw the Giants able to kind of battle that off for a little bit when the young kids came up and got hot. The Luciano, Ramos, and Matos, they were lighting the world on fire. But you can't, the league adjusts. The league will adjust to you, and you got to figure out how to adjust to those adjustments as a young player. We'll see if they can do it. Ramos looks like he's doing it. Matos has been sitting recently, but he got the start today. Came out for Mike Yastrzemski. He did pick up a hit in this one. He went 1 for 3 tonight. His batting average at 224 on the season, OPS just 576. So he's cooled down substantially since that red hot start where he won National League Player of the Week, and we all thought that he was just going to take that starting position and run with it for the rest of the year. It does not look like that's necessarily going to be the case, although I do want to see him starting over Mike Yastrzemski. I mean, I know Yaz had the home run tonight. He's been swinging the bat a lot better as of late than he was early on in the season, that's for sure. But I want to see these young kids get their run. I like that they were giving Ramos more at-bats. They put him in the leadoff spot. This lineup, though, seems a little clunky. I mean, the top of the order couldn't really do a whole lot in this one. Chapman, it seems like he's the only guy really hitting the ball hard, and we got to figure out how to get runners on base in front of Matt Chapman to drive them in. And the Giants just aren't doing a very good job of that. They're just not. We got to take a quick break. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look at Luke Jackson and just the Giants pitching today in general. On the other side, we still got to talk about what the Giants are missing in Lamont Wade Jr. and what the Giants need to do to get out of this losing streak, season high 6-game losing streak for the Giants on the heels of their season high win streak when they were on the road, and just the comeback kids winning everything in the 9th inning or later. They can't buy a win right now. They are down bad with the loss. They're now 29-33 on the season. The Diamondbacks 29-32. Giants fall now to 4th place in the National League West. It's not great. It's not great right now. We got to take a quick break. More on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Zach, I see you in the chat there, man. Zach thinks that the Giants might replace Luke Jackson with Reggie Crawford, but they might not want to do it this soon. I completely agree with you. If anybody has not been paying attention to what Reggie Crawford's been doing down in AAA, you need to, because this guy is, I mean, he was originally drafted as a two-way player. Dude is massive and can crush balls. I mean, just smashes like 450-foot home runs in the minor leagues. But I kind of feel like that was maybe a little bit of a ploy when they drafted him as a quote two-way player, because this was still in the era of the Giants trying to make their bid for Shohei Ohtani. And I think they kind of wanted to send up the flag of we're down with the two-way player thing. And our organization is built to deal with a player like that. And I think that's kind of why they drafted Reggie Crawford in not why they drafted him entirely, but I think that's why they pushed the two-way thing so hard with him and Bryce Eldridge as well, who another high draft pick the Giants had very recently that's been tearing it up down in single A and in San Jose. And it looks like a legitimate power hitter, but he was also drafted as a two-way player, as a pitcher and a hitter. And now as soon as Shohei signed this offseason, the Giants were like, no, we're done with that two-way player BS. Reggie Crawford, you're just pitching. Bryce Eldridge, you're just hitting. So Reggie Crawford, I mean, he looks like he's got closer material, not just a setup guy like Randy Rodriguez. He's borderline. I feel like his eventual position, though, will be a setup man. I don't know if he's ever going to make that leap to be an elite closer. Reggie Crawford, I'm telling you, this kid can be an elite closer. And the Giants already have Camilo Doval. They already got one of those on the roster. So this could be the nastiest 1-2 punch at the end of any bullpen in all of baseball if Reggie Crawford comes up and pitches the way that we think he can. Dude, as I said, dude is massive. He's just a huge frame. He's got muscles on muscles, and he's got gas that he throws on the mound. And I think that, Zach, my guy, I think you might be onto something. I think Luke Jackson would be the first guy out of this bullpen. If they got to DFA someone, I think it's got to be him if they're going to do that. And it's been tough. It's been tough with him this season. As I said, his ERA up over 6, and he hasn't really been very good on the mound at all this season. I mean, his whiff rate isn't as high as it has been in past seasons. He's just not making guys swing and miss nearly as much. He just doesn't seem like the same guy. I mean, he has dealt with a ton of injuries. Remember, he was out the majority of last season with an injury as well. So maybe we're just seeing all of these injuries catching up to a guy who's in the back half of his career. And the Giants might have just missed on this free agent signing. And that's not the only guy that they've missed on. We know the many, the laundry list of players that this front office has swung and missed on. And we can just add Luke Jackson onto that pile at this point. I mean, I think it's fair to say this guy is not what they expected him to be. He's been a disappointment. He's almost borderline unpitchable right now. And the Giants need some of these arms on the injured list to come back soon. They need it in a big way, and they need these starting pitchers to go deep in games. And thankfully, Harrison was able to pitch in past. He was able to give the Giants 6 solid innings on the mound today. He had a very long leash. I figured he was going to because the bullpen, as I said, was gassed. I mean, I don't know who they would have even thrown if they needed a third arm out of the bullpen. I mean, we had Taylor Rogers and Luke Jackson throw tonight. I really don't know. Maybe they would have, brought Tyler Fitzgerald in or something. And I don't know what they would have done, man. I mean, this pitching staff is just, I mean, it feels like they've just been bludgeoned lately. I mean, the way that Aaron Judge and the Yankees just hit so many home runs against them, scored so many runs, and now you're struggling on the road again. The Giants, other than that last road trip where you saw, some success against teams like the Pirates, I mean, it's competition is a lot different when you're playing the Phillies and the Yankees and even the Diamondbacks, as opposed to a team like the Pirates. I mean, the Diamondbacks are last year's National League champion, the National League representative in the Fall Classic, but they're a solid team, man. I mean, they can make contact up and down. They got a ton of speed on this roster. They're a tough team to beat. And I think this is, a little bit of the Giants returning to the norm. The D-backs are a team that I think is very similar talent-wise to the San Francisco Giants, at least at this current stage. I mean, with all the injuries the Giants have, if they were a healthy team, I definitely am taking the Giants' health when healthy, talent-wise, over the Diamondbacks. But it's just been tough for them this season to really compete with good teams because they just don't have the roster to do it right now. I mean, when you're relying on your starting pitchers to pitch 7+ innings of 2-3 run ball every single night, it's a lot of pressure to place on a starter. I mean, not just one starter, but your entire starting rotation. And this offense, I mean, other than that 2-week stretch where they were winning a bunch of games on the road, they Coors Field kind of got them right for a minute. Other than that stretch, the Giants have been terrible offensively all season long. And it's really tough with Lamont Wade Jr. out. We'll get into that on the other side. We should take a quick break here before we dive into the Lamont Wade Jr. stuff. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. The Giants have been miserable without him. They've been missing him and his offensive production. So we'll take a quick break, dive into that on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. Stick with us. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Giants fall to the Diamondbacks 8-5. Giants now 29-33 on the season. D-backs improved to 29-32 and jump the Giants in the standings in the NL West. The Giants fall into 4th place in the NL West. This is just a week or two ago. The Giants were all the way up into 2nd place, back over 500, man, and they're just free falling right now. A season high 6-game losing streak. And a lot of this started, I mean, I think the tipping point was really the Lamont Wade Jr. injury. This guy was planted at an all-star level for the Giants. And since he has been injured, the Giants are just 1-6. Their one win came on a 1-0 victory. So this team has not been able to produce any runs without this guy. They've lost so many bats, and Michael Conforto has returned since then, since they lost Lamont Wade Jr. So hopefully Conforto can start hitting. He went over 4 yesterday, and tonight he went over 4 again. He did draw a walk, 2 strikeouts, but we know Conforto's a streaky guy. It's probably going to take him a little while to get back into the swing of things. And it's tough when you don't have anybody else who's really producing. I mean, Matt Chapman has been hitting the ball pretty well. He's been a bright spot for the Giants, but you can't have two out of 9 hitters producing and hope that your team's going to score more than a couple runs. I mean, I think it's a miracle the Giants even got 5 tonight, honestly. I mean, without that Mike Yastrzemski home run, the Giants get 2, maybe 3 runs in this one. I mean, this offense is putrid right now. It's just absolutely terrible. Nobody is contributing. I mean, you have so many guys just going over at the plate every single night, unproductive outs all over the place. And at least with Lamont Wade Jr., you knew this guy. He leads the league in on-base percentage by like 50 points. He was going to be a lock to get on base not every single time, but multiple times in one game. Like Lamont Wade Jr. is getting on base, whether it's drawing walks, he's got one of the best eyes in the game, or collecting some base hits or an extra base hit. This guy has been the best hitter by a mile for this Giants team this season, and missing him, 1-6 since he's been out. It's obvious that the Giants are struggling without, what the guy who would have been their all-star if he had been able to stay healthy until the break. I don't know how the Giants struggle back from this. I mean, they're going to miss him. They're going to continue to miss him. I mean, who knows when he's going to come back. Those hamstring injuries can really linger. He's rehabbing only this week, has not resumed any baseball activities or anything of the sort. So I imagine he's going to be out. I mean, they said at least a month, maybe more. Hamstrings linger though. I mean, if he's out a month to 6 weeks, he's going to need a rehab, ramp up down in AAA, maybe a game or two, maybe a series. I mean, we're talking about maybe after the All-Star break for Lamont Wade Jr. I mean, this is a big deal, man, because the Giants don't have anybody to replace his bat in this lineup, and they've been struggling. And aside from the offense struggling, man, they just cannot buy a win out in Arizona. They just have been struggling playing the Diamondbacks. They've in the last few seasons, they're just 4-12 in their last 16 games. Now 4-13 after tonight's loss, dating back to July of 2022. This team has just been not very good. Arizona's outscored San Francisco by like 30 plus runs, almost 40 runs in that stretch. It's been tough for the Giants out at Chase Field. That like dark dungeon looking place with the weird pool in the outfield. I wouldn't swim in that pool. I don't think you could pay me to actually go swim in that pool. I don't know about that, man. It's just something about that. It's like has the same vibes as swimming in like a Vegas pool. Like I'm not putting my head under that water, if you know what I mean. Bob Melvin has in his career been pretty good against the Diamondbacks. One of the highest win percentages against any opponent that he has, but the Diamondbacks just seem to have the Giants numbers as of late. And the Giants, they just can't beat the Snakes, man. I don't know what it is about these damn desert snakes, but the Giants just can't beat them. They just can't beat them. And they did face a lefty on the mound today. They've really struggled against left-handed starters. They're just 5-12 on the season. And it's a tough sledding for the Giants right now. They don't have anybody who can really hit left-handed pitching very well. I mean, it's been tough. It's been really tough. This bullpen is gassed. The starting pitching is, banged up. I mean, you got multiple guys, multiple starters on the disabled list, on the injured list. And Alex Cobb, where is this guy? We've been waiting for Alex Cobb to come back we were told early May, and then he's had setback after setback after setback. This guy, I wonder if Tristan Beck is going to come back before Alex Cobb does at this rate. And one of these guys started the season on the 15-day injured list and one on the 60. So it's tough for the Giants right now. I mean, I don't know where this offense is going to come from, but somebody has to do something. And we had talked earlier in the season about maybe the Giants going out and trading for a bat. We talked about maybe Keaton Winn being some trade bait, but at this rate, with the way that he's had to deal with injuries and some lackluster starts as of late, and Mason Black has not performed as well as I think Giants fans had really hoped he would. I think some of these guys' trade value has gone down, and I don't know if you can really get anything worth giving up one of these arms for at this point. I have no idea what the Giants are going to do to fix this offense. I mean, they need to do something, though. They need to make some kind of a change. Pat Burrell and the rest of the Giants hitting coaches need to get in these guys' ears. I mean, I know they are. You see Pat Burrell in the dugout after every guy's at bat going up to him and coaching him up. I don't know. I don't know, man. This lineup is leaves a lot to be desired right now. You have so many. When you have Jorge Soler and Michael Conforto back to back in the lineup, and they just go 0 for 8, a combined 0 for 8. That's a really rough way to be. I Wisely didn't get the start tonight, but I think Wisely's got to play as often as possible. I mean, guy can't play every single day. He's got to get some rest every now and again, but I think he needs to be in the lineup as often as possible. This is the only guy on the Giants that's really getting on base. The speed gives them another dimension out there on the base paths too. Ramos, he's been doing his job up there. He did draw a couple walks in this one. He 0 for 2 plus those 2 walks. 2 strikeouts as well for Ramos at the top of the order tonight. It's just not enough. The Giants got to figure out how to string some hits together, because this lineup is devoid of power, devoid of any pop. They need to figure out a way to start scoring some runs. They did score 5 runs today, but we're back to the point where, a couple of weeks ago we said no lead feels too big for this Giants team to overcome right now, and we're back to my how have things changed? Because now we're back to any lead is too big for the Giants to overcome. Once they were down 8-2, it just felt like, pack it up, go home. This This offense didn't have it today at all. They weren't going to be able to climb out of this deficit. They made it a little bit interesting, I guess, with that Mike Yastrzemski 3-run home run in the top of the 8th inning. But it just, not enough for the Giants. Again, 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, 9 runners left on base. Conversely, the Diamondbacks, 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position, only left 6 on base. Just looking at that, pretty easy to tell who won this game. Diamondbacks win 8-5. Giants fall to 29-33, 4th place in the NL West. A 6-game losing skid, the most consecutive losses the Giants have had this season. They got one more in Arizona. We're going to try and avoid the sweep tomorrow, which is, you hope the Giants were going to be able to get right after the Yankees Phillies, because they don't play a team with a winning record for like a month almost. And we were hoping that they would start right now, get back on track with a win over the under 500 Diamondbacks. But instead, the Diamondbacks are winning the series. Giants need to just do their best to avoid the sweep tomorrow, try and salvage this road trip and go out and win the next series, because you can't just keep having losing road trips and losing homestands and just free falling in the standings. Giants leaving a lot to be desired at the plate, as we said right now. We'll come to you live tomorrow after the Giants and Diamondbacks wrap up their 3-game series. Day game coming at you. We'll come to you live after on the Locked On Giants postcast, as we always do. Until then, that's all the time we got for you guys today. Thanks for sticking with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.